Welcome back to Hot Takes, the motorcycle show for busy people who love motorcycles. And today I want to talk to you about the 900cc class that is heating up. So KTM just blew everybody's doors off by announcing the 990cc RC road bike. And Stefan Perrier has many times said that he is not in favor of a sport bike fairing bike with clip-ons that is in the large capacity, close to 1000cc or over 1000cc category. They've had nakeds. However, he has been against putting those engines in a faired sport bike. And I do understand the concerns about safety. And I do not ride those bikes anymore, although I used to very much enjoy them. But the thing about the market is that there's a lot of people who love them, and he is passing on a lot of money. And so they decided not to pass on that money. So they have made a couple of RC8C limited edition. Only about 100 units were sold in like 2023, and before that, I think in 2022. And those bikes sold out despite having very high price tags of like $39,000. They sold out in a matter of minutes, possibly less than 2 minutes. And so they're a popular segment, and people want to see these bikes. They're bringing it to the street. So what are we looking at here? Well, they're going to use the 990cc parallel twin motor that is in the Duke, and in that it makes 123 horsepower. Now, they might tune it for a little bit more power, but I find that KTM's engines are highly stressed machines most of the time, and there isn't a lot of horsepower to be tuned out of them. So I wouldn't expect too much more horsepower. But as we can tell by the heavily camouflaged test bike that they had, it will have wings, much like a MotoGP bike.
When examining the photos of the 990, I noticed a small winglet that sits underneath the swing arm, and this is particularly interesting because it was of great controversy when Ducati brought it in 2019 on Andrea Dovizioso's bike. And according to the MotoGP rules, you are not supposed to have aero pieces attached to the rear swing arm. They claimed that this was not an aerodynamic piece, that this was only a cooling of the rear tire. I'm not sure exactly what these do in addition to cooling the rear tire, but they must have some downforce capabilities as well, because every bike on the grid now runs them, including the new KTM 2024 MotoGP bike. And so this is one of the many little elements that tie the 990 RC to the MotoGP bike, and I think it's a very interesting touch that a lot of people will appreciate.
We do not know how heavy it will be. We know that the RC8C was very, very light. However, it was not for the road. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of lights, turn signals, modules, emissions equipment that it needs to go on the bike. However, I would expect it to be lighter than its competition. Speaking of its competition, Yamaha has been hinting at an R9. What is an R9? Well, it would very simply be an MT09 that is racy, a little bit like the R7, where they took the MT07 and they made it into a sport bike style with clip-ons and fairings and everything. And that is an exciting thing to think about. I think that the triple cylinder motor will be a lot more fun in that kind of package than a twin cylinder. But we still don't have a release date for it, and we don't have anything official from Yamaha. However, they are selling the XS900 GP, and it's basically what I just said, a sport bike version of the XS900. Except this one, it has very classic retro styling of classic like 1980s MotoGP bike, 500cc two-stroke era styling. However, it's a modern bike with a TFT display, all the toys, and top shelf suspension from an MT09 SP. And it looks like a phenomenal bike. It's probably not going to move that many. They're probably not going to make that many. However, it's a hint at what could be in the future for a bike that looks sort of like an R1. However, it will have a triple 900cc cylinder engine in it. Speaking of 900cc bikes, the Yamaha has also updated the MT09 for 2025 with some minor updates. However, it has a more swoopy, more aggressive headlight on it that's even more Transformer style than the outgoing model. This seems to be a direction that they're going with the MT bikes. It also has minor tweaking to the suspension and other parts of the bike, but not really too much to write home about in that regard. As for the 900cc category, I really do believe that it is a fantastic category when it comes to road bikes, because when you're on the road and you want to go fast, I really think that right around that 100 to 140 horsepower range is really exciting and also just about right for most riders. These super bikes with 200 horsepower are well out of the range of most riders. And even if you do have the skill to ride a bike like that at that kind of speed, should you really, right? Should you really be trying to put down 200 horsepower on any road? They're also geared, outside of what we can ride. So what do you think about these new 900cc class bikes? Do you think they're exactly what we need? Or do you think they're not really going to sell that well? I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Hot Takes, the motorcycle show for busy people who love motorcycles. And please smash that subscribe button, like this, and join us again next time.